The spit hit her face at exactly 6:47 on a Tuesday morning in December, when the thermometer outside Morrison's diner read 22 below zero. Sarah Chen stood behind the counter with a coffee pot in her hand and 34 years of dignity draining down her cheek. The kid didn't even look up from his phone. Brandon Castellano, 17 years old. Designer jacket that cost more than Sarah made in 3 months. BMW keys spinning on the table like a taunt. Refill, not a request, a command. She'd poured the coffee. Steady hand, her grandmother's jade bracelet catching the fluorescent light as she moved. 3 generations of women who'd learned to swallow insults the way other people swallow air. Necessary, automatic, survival. The spit was warm against the cold. That detail would stay with her. The way it ran slow, the way his 3 friends laughed, the way the sound echoed in the morning quiet like something breaking. Brandon leaned back in the red vinyl booth. "That's 4 making me wait. Maybe next time you'll be faster." Sarah set the pot down before her hands could shake. Found a napkin, wiped her face. The diner smelled like it always did. Coffee and bacon grease, and the kind of permanence that comes from 40 years of the same menu. Chrome counter, checkerboard floor, photographs on the walls of miners who'd built this town back when mining meant something. Table 9, corner booth. Same seat every morning for 18 years. Jackson Morrison watched over the rim of his newspaper. Not reading anymore. Hadn't been reading since the kid walked in. Some instincts you don't lose. 23 years since Desert Storm, but his body still knew when to pay attention. When to calculate distance. When to measure threat. 62 years old. Gray in his beard now. Scar down his left cheek where shrapnel had taken a piece of him in 1981 and left something else behind. His hands rested flat on the table. Mechanic's hands. Scarred knuckles. Calluses thick enough to stop feeling most things. Not this, though. This he felt. His daughter used to love this diner. Emily, 8 years old, blonde curls that caught the morning sun, gap in her front teeth that made her lisp when she laughed. She'd sit right there at the counter, order chocolate chip pancakes. Sarah would sneak her extra chocolate chips when she thought no one was looking. That was 12 years ago. Before the drunk driver, before the closed casket, before Hawk Morrison learned that promises mean nothing when you're not there to keep them. His wallet sat on the table next to his coffee. Inside was a pink hair ribbon. He touched it without thinking. Muscle memory. 12 years of reaching for something that couldn't reach back. The kid was still laughing. His friends were laughing. Sarah was walking toward the kitchen with her head down and her shoulders tight, and Hawk was standing up before he'd decided to stand. His boots hit the linoleum. 1 step. 2. The diner went quiet the way places go quiet when violence is about to happen, or just did. Brandon looked up, first time he'd made eye contact with anyone who wasn't holding something he wanted. "Can I help you?" The smirk never left his face. Why would it? His father was Vincent Castellano, city council, real estate empire, the kind of untouchable that comes with money and lawyers and knowing the right people. Hawk stopped at the table, looked at Sarah, back at Brandon. "You got something on your face." The kid touched his cheek. "What shame, should probably wipe that off." The friend stopped laughing. Brandon's smirk flickered. "Excuse me, my father was a coal miner. Worked 43 years. Came home black every night, lungs full of dust. But he taught me something your father apparently forgot." Brandon stood, 5'10", athletic build, probably played lacrosse or tennis or whatever rich kids play to get into college. He was eye level with Hawk's chest. "What's that? You judge a man by how he treats people who can't do anything for him?" Hawk nodded towards Sarah. "That woman can't make you rich, can't make you famous, can't help your career. So how you treat her, that's who you really are. Do you know who my father is? I know who mine was." Hawk's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. That's the difference. Brandon pulled out his phone. Dialed. Speakerphone. Because of course he did. "Dad, there's some biker harassing me at Morrison's." Vincent Castellano's voice came through smooth and educated. The kind of voice that's never been told no. "Is this Hawk Morrison?" Brandon blinked. "How did you put him on?" The phone changed hands. Hawk took it calm as Sunday morning. "Vincent, Hawk, we have a problem. Your boy just spit on Sarah Chen. Silence stretched long enough to mean something. I'm sure it was a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. 6 people watched it happen, including me. Brandon, 17. Kids make mistakes. Kids make mistakes. Men own up to them. Question is what kind of man you're raising. The silence this time was different. Colder. Be careful, Hawk. You're in a town where I have considerable influence. And you're in a town where I have 10 brothers who ride. Your influence works Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. My brothers work 24/7. The line went dead. Hawk handed the phone back. Your father says hi. The door chimed. A little girl walked in, 8 years old, black hair and pigtails, pink backpack with sparkles, military dog tags hanging around her neck on a silver chain. Sergeant David Chen, United States Army, killed in action, Afghanistan, 2021. Lily Chen stopped when she saw her mother's face. The redness, the way Sarah was trying to smile and failing. Mommy, hey, sweetie. Sarah's voice cracked around the edges. I thought you were walking to school with Emma. I forgot my science homework. Lily looked at Brandon, then at Hawk. Something in the air made her skin prickle. Kids know. They always know. What happened? Nothing, baby. Go get your folder. Lily didn't move. She stared at Brandon with the kind of directness that adults learn to hide. Did you hurt my mom? Brandon laughed, but it came out wrong. Nervous. Listen, kid. My dad said bad people always have an excuse. Good people just say sorry. The diner was silent. Every customer watching. Every fork suspended. Brandon opened his mouth. Closed it. Nothing came out that sounded like words. Lily turned to her mother. Can we go now? Sarah took her daughter's hand, led her toward the back, their footsteps the only sound. Hawk looked at Brandon one more time. Out of the mouths of babes. He walked back to table 9, sat down, picked up his cold coffee, and drank it anyway. Brandon and his friends left. No apology, no acknowledgement. Just gone. The door chimed behind them. The diner stayed quiet for a long time after. But Hawk's instincts were screaming. The ones that kept him alive when the scuds were falling. The ones that told him when to move and when to wait and when something was about to go sideways. This wasn't over, not even close. 12 years ago, Jackson Morrison was just Jack. Mechanic, husband, father. He fixed motorcycles in a garage behind his house and came home for dinner every night at 6 and read bedtime stories to a little girl who thought he was the strongest man in the world. Emily Morrison, 8 years old. Blonde curls, gap-toothed smile, laugh that could make you forget every bad thing you'd ever seen or done. She loved this diner, would sit at the counter, order chocolate chip pancakes. Sarah would sneak her extra chips and whisper, girls gotta stick together. That was June 15th, 2012. June 16th, 2012, the world ended. Hawk was supposed to pick Emily up from school. Softball practice ran late. He texted his wife, Karen. Running behind. Can you grab Em? Karen was at work, 20 minutes away. Can't. You promised her. I know. Tell her I'm sorry. Tomorrow I'll make it up. So Emily walked 6 blocks. She'd done it before. 8 years old. Old enough. Responsible. Mature for her age. The drunk driver ran the red light at Oak and 5th. Hit her in the crosswalk. Going 50 in a 25. Didn't even brake. The medical examiner said she died on impact. Said she didn't suffer. Hawk didn't believe him then. Still doesn't. Because he knows what suffering looks like. Knows it's not always physical. Knows it can be a father standing over a closed casket wondering if his daughter called for him at the end. The driver got 3 years, served 18 months, good behavior, out now, probably living his life. Probably forgot Emily's name by now. Emily got forever in the ground. Section B, Plot 47, Pinewood Cemetery. Karen left 6 months later. Couldn't look at Hawk without seeing the text. Running behind. Couldn't stay in the house where Emily's room was. Couldn't forgive. Couldn't forget. You promised her. Karen's last words. That's what kills me. You promised. Hawk touched his wallet now. Pink ribbon inside. Compulsive. Constant. 12 years of touching it like a rosary. Like if he touched it enough times, it would bring her back. Emily would be 20 now, college, maybe engaged, maybe giving him grandkids, maybe calling him on Sundays to tell him about her life. Instead, she was a photograph on the clubhouse wall, a pink ribbon in a wallet, a promise that couldn't be kept. Hawk looked across the diner. Sarah was in the back room, Lily beside her, mother comforting daughter, daughter comforting mother, the way it should be, the way he'd lost. Something in his chest cracked. Recognition. That little girl, 8 years old, father dead, mother working herself to death, one cruel teenager away from something breaking. He stood, walked to the back room, knocked gently. Sarah opened the door, eyes red but dry. She'd learned not to cry at work. I'm okay. Really, it's not the first time it should be the last time. Hawk's voice came out quiet but absolute. Nobody does that to you again. Not while I'm still breathing, Mr. Morrison. I appreciate it, but I can't afford trouble. I need this job. You won't lose your job. You have my word on that. Your word doesn't pay Vincent Castellano. He owns the building. He could... Let me worry about Vincent. Lily appeared behind her mother, looking up at Hawk with eyes that saw everything. Are you going to beat him up, Lily? Sarah pulled her daughter back, but Hawk was already kneeling, getting to her eye level. The way you do with kids, the way he used to do with Emily. No, I'm not going to beat him up. Then what are you going to do? I'm going to teach him something his father should have taught him a long time ago. What's that? That actions have consequences. Some debts get paid in ways money can't buy. Lily processed this, 8 years old, thinking. My dad said that too, before he died. He said always stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves, even if it's hard. Especially if it's hard. Something broke in Hawk's chest. 12 years of ice cracking. Your dad was a smart man. He was a soldier, like you. Were you a soldier, Marine? What's the difference? Hawk smiled. First real smile in a while. Ask a Marine will talk your ear off. But your dad was a good man. Soldier or Marine doesn't matter. What matters is he stood up for people. Just like you're doing for your mom right now. Lily looked confused. I'm not doing anything. You're here, that's everything. The cold hit like a fist when Hawk stepped outside. 22 below, Montana winter. The kind of cold that makes your breath freeze in your lungs. His motorcycle sat in the parking lot. 1987, Harley-Davidson Softail. Cherry red, 80,000 miles. Rebuilt the engine twice with his own hands. He cleared the frost from the seat, kicked the stand, mounted up. The engine turned over. Rumble like distant thunder. The sound that makes people look. 10 bikes pulled into the lot. Formation, 2 abreast, staggered by half a bike length. Military precision. The kind of discipline that doesn't happen by accident. The Iron Brotherhood. Bear Williams came first. 6'5", 280, Vietnam vet, face like weathered granite. Beside him was Doc Martinez, combat medic, Iraq. Hands that had held men together while they died, steady as stone. Behind them came Chains Ghost Preacher, Smoke Ruby Wolf, Hammer Lucky. 10 riders, average age 61. Combined military service 147 years. Combined years riding 312. They'd gotten Hawk's text, Morrison's. Now. No explanation needed. Brotherhood meant you show up, no questions. You show up. Bear killed his engine, dismounted, walked to Hawk. What do we got? Vincent Castellano's kid spit on Sarah Chen. The faces around him went hard. Every one of them knew Sarah, knew Lily, knew their story, knew what it meant to be alone in a town where money talks and decency whispers. When Doc's voice was quiet, dangerous. 20 minutes ago, the kid still breathing chains, always the enforcer, always ready. For now. Hawk looked at his brothers, men who'd ridden with him for 18 years, men who'd carried him when Karen left, men who stood at Emily's grave and didn't say a word because words don't help. This isn't about the kid. Not really. It's about what he represents. It's about Vincent Castellano thinking he owns this town. It's about people like Sarah getting treated like they're disposable. Preacher spoke up. Former Army chaplain, moral compass. What are you thinking, brother? I'm thinking it's time Vincent learned that money doesn't make you untouchable. I'm thinking it's time that kid learned what accountability looks like. I'm thinking it's time this town remembered what happens when you spit on people who can't spit back. Bear nodded slowly. We're listening. I'm not talking about violence. We're not animals, but we're not powerless either. That kid needs to understand consequences, real consequences, not the kind his daddy can buy him out of. What did you have in mind, Ghost? Stealth expert, already calculating. We're going to make him walk a mile in her shoes. Literally, we're going to make him a waiter. The brothers looked at each other, processing, understanding dawning. Vincent won't allow it. Doc's observation hung in the cold air. Vincent doesn't get a vote. Hawk laid out the plan, simple, direct, no violence, but effective. Public pressure, community awareness. Force Vincent into a choice. Accept and Brandon learns humility. Refuse and Vincent looks like he's protecting his entitled son. When Hawk finished, Bear was grinning. I like it. It's poetic. Preacher nodded approval. It's exactly what that punk needs. Chains agreed. We do this right. Hawk said we change more than just one kid. We send a message to everyone in this town who thinks power means you can treat people however you want. And if Vincent pushes back Lucky, youngest at 56, always practical, then he discovers that the Brotherhood doesn't push. We stand. And when we stand together, we don't move. Agreement without words. Nods, eye contact. The kind of understanding that comes from riding together through rain and snow, and the kind of darkness that has nothing to do with weather. One more thing. Hawk looked back at the diner, could see Sarah through the window, clearing tables, going back to work, because she had to, because bills don't wait. We protect them, Sarah and Lily. Whatever happens next, those two are under our protection. Anyone touches them, anyone threatens them, anyone so much as looks at them wrong, they answer to all of us. Brotherhood. Bear's voice was granite. The others echoed. Brotherhood. It was a vow. Sacred. The kind that means you show up at 3 in the morning. The kind that means you ride 200 miles in a snowstorm. The kind that means you stand between danger and the people who can't stand for themselves. Hawk looked at the diner one more time. Saw Lily through the window, 8 years old. Father's dog tags around her neck. Laughing at something her mother said. Emily's age when she died. This time I won't fail. The thought came unbidden. This time I'll keep my promise. Vincent Castellano's office overlooked Main Street from the 10th floor. Only building in Pinewood over 3 stories. He'd built it himself. Metaphor and reality both. 58 years old. Silver at the temples. Suit that cost more than most people made in a month. Rolex his father gave him 30 years ago. The only thing the old man ever gave him besides bruises and lessons about how power works. His phone was ringing, 4th time this morning. Same number. Chicago area code. He didn't answer, couldn't answer. The man calling expected $2 million by Friday. Vincent didn't have it. Real estate empire. That's what the newspaper called it. What they didn't know was the empire was built on sand. Mortgages on mortgages. Debt financing debt. The market crashed in 2008. Vincent survived. Barely. Borrowed from the wrong people to stay afloat. Chicago people. The kind who don't do bankruptcy. Now he had 5 days until the deadline, 2 million short, and Salvatore DeMarco didn't do payment plans. His assistant knocked. Mr. Castellano Brandon's on line 2. Vincent picked up. What is it? I'm busy. Dad, that biker guy, Hawk Morrison, he's planning something. What kind of something? I don't know. But my friend Tyler heard his dad talking. The Brotherhood's meeting tonight at the clubhouse. They're talking about me. Vincent's jaw tightened. Hawk Morrison, Iron Brotherhood, 75 members statewide. Montana chapter had 10 members but was connected to 15 other chapters. Network of 750 bikers who answered when the president called. Vincent had money, influence, power. But power has limits. Can't buy a man who doesn't want to be bought. Can't threaten a man who's already lost everything. Can't intimidate a man who's seen combat. Hawk Morrison was all 3. What did you do? Nothing, this waitress was slow and You what? Silence on the other end of the line. Brandon, what did you do? I spit on her. But Dad, she deserved. Vincent closed his eyes, rubbed his temples. His son, 17 years old, raised in privilege, never told no, never felt consequence. His fault. He knew it. But there wasn't time for that now. Go home. Stay there. Don't talk to anyone. I'll handle this. But Dad. Now he hung up, stood, walked to his window, looked down at Main Street, his town, except it wasn't. Not really. The building he stood in was mortgaged. The car in his parking space was leased. The empire everyone saw was borrowed time. And now his son had made an enemy of the one group in town he couldn't afford to fight. His phone rang again. Chicago. This time he answered. Vincent, DeMarco's voice came through smooth and calm, the kind of calm that precedes violence. You've been avoiding my calls. I haven't been avoiding Friday. 2 million. We had an agreement. I know. I'm working on it. Work faster. Because if I don't see that money, I'm coming to collect. And Vincent, I don't just take money, I take everything. Your buildings, your business, your reputation. A pause, your family. The line went dead. Vincent set the phone down. His hands were shaking. First time in 20 years they'd shaken. He looked at the photograph on his desk. His daughter, Melissa, 15 years dead, leukemia. The experimental treatment cost $500,000. Insurance wouldn't cover it. Vincent didn't have it yet, was still building his empire. She died waiting for him to get rich enough to save her. That's when Vincent learned that money is the only thing that matters. Money is power. Money is life. Everything else is sentiment. So he built his empire, made his money, swore no one would ever have power over him again. But here he was, drowning, desperate, and his son had just made it worse. Vincent made a decision, the kind desperate men make, the kind that can't be taken back. He picked up his phone, dialed. Sheriff Carter. It's Vincent Castellano. We need to talk about Hawk Morrison and the Iron Brotherhood. I'm concerned they're planning something illegal. The Iron Brotherhood clubhouse sat on the east side of Pinewood. Building used to be a warehouse. Bought it in 2006. Fixed it up themselves. Every brother contributed labor. Sweat equity, the only kind that matters. Inside was a bar, pool tables, American flag, POW MIA flag, photographs on the walls. Brothers who rode before, brothers who'd passed. Emily's photo was there too. 8 years old, blonde curls, gap-toothed smile, forever frozen at the age when promises break. 7 o'clock, 10 bikes pulled up, formation, precision, they filed inside. Hawk last, president's privilege. Bear poured whiskey. Tradition, brotherhood meetings start with a drink. Not to get drunk, to remember, to honor. They raise glasses. To those who rode before. Hawk's voice carried the weight of ritual. To those who rode before, Bob, the echo came back from 10 throats. They drank, set glasses down. The meeting began. You all know what happened this morning. Brandon Castellano, Sarah Chen, Lily. Hawk's words were economical. These men didn't need elaboration. Nods around the room. They knew. Small towns talk. The Brotherhood hears everything. Vincent called me, warned me to back off, said he's got influence, said I should be careful. What did you tell him? Chains leaned forward. I told him my brothers work 24/7. Dark grins, the kind that promise consequences. Here's the situation. We can't touch the kid, not physically. He's 17, minor. We lay hands on him, we go to prison. Vincent would love that. So what's the play? Ghost question hung in the air. We make him work as a waiter at Morrison's diner, minimum wage, 1 month. Doc raised an eyebrow. How do we make that happen? We don't make it happen. We encourage it. Hawk laid out the plan, step by step. Public pressure, community awareness, the offer at city council meeting. Vincent forced to choose. Accept and Brandon learns humility. Refuse and look like he's protecting his entitled son. Either way, message sent. When Hawk finished, preacher spoke. This is good, but it's not enough. We need to change more than just one kid. We need to change the system that created him. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we make this bigger. Vincent's been pushing people around for years. Sarah's not the first person he's hurt. She's just the first person who's got us paying attention. We should document it, all of it, everyone he's wronged, build a case, not just social pressure, legal pressure. Ruby nodded. Female, 59, earned her patch through skill, not charity. I like it. I know 3 people Vincent screwed on real estate deals. Promised one thing, delivered another. They couldn't fight back because he's got lawyers and money. Same here, Lucky added. My cousin lost her house in a foreclosure. Vincent bought it at auction for a third of what it was worth. She swears he manipulated the sale. Hawk looked around the room. His brothers, his family, all of them had stories. All of them knew someone Vincent had hurt. The empire was built on people who couldn't fight back. All right, we expand the mission, document everything, build a case, but priority 1 is protect Sarah and Lily. Agreed, agreed. The chorus came back unified. Bear stood. 6'5". 280. When Bear stood, rooms paid attention. One more thing. That little girl, Lily. She reminds me of someone. Everyone knew who he meant. Emily, I say we adopt her, unofficially. She's brotherhood family now. Anyone touches her, they touch all of us. Hawk's throat tightened. 12 years since Emily died. 12 years of empty space in his chest where his daughter used to live. Lily wasn't Emily, could never be Emily, but maybe he could keep this promise. Seconded. Doc's voice was firm. All in favor, Hawk asked. 10 hands went up. No hesitation. Motion carries. Lily Chen is under Brotherhood protection, effective immediately. They finalized details, assignments, schedules, who covers when. Ruby would tail Sarah during work hours. Ghost would watch Lily's school. Chains would handle nights, rotating shifts. 24/7, nobody gets left behind. As the meeting broke up, Bear pulled Hawk aside. Thank you. Bear shook his head. Don't thank me. This is what we do. We stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. That's the code. That's the promise. And brother, you've kept that promise every day for 18 years. Emily would be proud. Hawk's eyes stung. Marines don't cry. But close, I failed her. You're human. Humans fail, but you haven't stopped trying. That's what matters. Outside engines roared to life. 10 bikes. Thunder in the Montana night. They rode together, formation through town, past Morrison's diner where Sarah was closing up, past Vincent's office building where lights still burned on the 10th floor, past the elementary school where Lily would be tomorrow. A show of force, a statement. We're here, we're watching, we protect our own, and Lily Chen was their own now. Vincent watched from his office window, 10 motorcycles rolling through his town. Precision formation. Message received. He picked up his phone. Sheriff Carter, I need those bikers gone. Whatever it takes. Sheriff Tom Carter had been in Vincent Castellano's pocket for 6 years. Started small. Looked the other way on a zoning violation. Delay a building inspection. Nothing that felt criminal at the time. Just favors. The kind men with power exchange. Then came the envelope. $5,000 cash. Then 10. Then monthly deposits into an account his wife didn't know about. Now Carter was in too deep to see daylight. Vincent's voice crackled through the phone at 11:30 that night. I need those bikers handled. Carter sat in his patrol car outside the quick stop, coffee going cold in the cup holder. What exactly are you asking me to do, Vincent? I'm asking you to do your job. They're harassing my son, threatening him. That's assault. Intimidation. Find something to arrest Morrison on. Make it stick. Vincent, I can't just, you can, you will. Or maybe the state police get an anonymous tip about certain financial irregularities in the sheriff's department. About money moving through offshore accounts. About a certain lake house that somehow got built on a sheriff's salary. Carter's hand tightened on the phone. That's blackmail. That's reality. You're in this with me. We sink or swim together. Your choice. The line went dead. Carter sat in the dark, staring at nothing, thinking about the house, about his wife who thought they'd saved for years, about the daughter in college who didn't know daddy was bought and paid for. He picked up his radio. Deputy Morrison, you copy static. Then, copy sheriff. I need you at the station. Got a situation we need to discuss. Morning came cold and clear. Sarah opened Morrison's diner at 5:30 like always, turned on the lights, started the coffee, checked the tables. Routine held things together when everything else fell apart. The first bike pulled up at 6. Bare. Then another. Then another. By 6:15, 8 motorcycles lined the curb. Brotherhood members filing in, taking tables, ordering breakfast, tipping heavy, making Sarah's section the busiest in town. Word spread fast in small towns. By 7, the diner was packed. Not just Brotherhood. Locals who'd heard what happened. People who'd worked service jobs. People who remembered what it felt like to be powerless. They came. They ordered. They filled every seat. Margaret Harris, 73, retired teacher, sat at the counter and ordered scrambled eggs. Left a $50 tip on an $8 check. You hold your head high, honey. That boy's the one who should be ashamed. Tom Jenkins, Vietnam vet, sat in the corner booth and told stories about Hawk in Desert Storm. How he'd carried a wounded Marine 3 miles through enemy fire. How he'd earned his scar, saving lives, not taking them. By 8 o'clock, Sarah's tip jar was overflowing. By 9, she'd made more in one morning than she usually made in a week. But it wasn't about the money, it was about the statement, about a community drawing a line. Lily sat at the counter doing homework. She'd stayed home from school. Sarah couldn't explain why, except that something in her gut said keep her close. Mother's instinct, the kind that had kept humans alive for millennia. A man walked in at 9:30. Suit, tie, expensive watch. He took a corner table, ordered coffee, didn't drink it, just sat there watching. Ruby noticed him first. Former Army intelligence, you don't lose that eye. She texted Ghost. We got company, corner table, surveillance. Ghost was outside, watching from his bike. Ran the plate on the sedan, parked across the street. Registered to a shell corporation out of Chicago. He texted back, Mob, they're here. The city council meeting started at 7 that evening. Pinewood Community Center. Wood paneling, folding chairs, American flag in the corner. Fluorescent lights that hummed and flickered. 27 people in attendance. Small town governance. Usually boring, not tonight. Hawk walked in at 7:05. Bear beside him. The other brothers filed in, took seats in the back, leather vests, patches, presents. Vincent sat at the council table. Saw them enter. His face went pale. The mayor called the meeting to order, read through the agenda, zoning ordinances, budget proposals, the mundane machinery of municipal government. Then came public comment. Hawk stood. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to address the council and Mr. Castellano specifically. The room went silent. Vincent's jaw tightened. Proceed. Hawk walked to the podium. 6'2", 215. Gray beard. Scar. The kind of man who'd seen things and survived them and carried the weight without complaint. Yesterday morning, Vincent's son Brandon walked into Morrison's diner and spit in the face of Sarah Chen, a woman who's worked that counter for 12 years. A single mother, a widow whose husband died serving this country. He spit on her, in front of witnesses, then laughed about it. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Vincent stood. I'm not finished. Hawk's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. Your son needs to learn accountability. Real accountability, not the kind you can buy. So here's my proposal. Brandon works as a waiter at Morrison's diner. Minimum wage, 1 month. He learns what it's like to serve people, to be treated the way he treats others. He completes the month without complaint. The Brotherhood drops the issue. He doesn't. We take our concerns to the State Labor Board, to the media, to anyone who'll listen about how power gets abused in this town. Vincent's face turned red. You can't, I can, and I am. This is your chance to show this town that you're a man who holds his son accountable. Or you can show them you're a man who protects bad behavior because you've got money and connections. Your choice. You've got 48 hours to decide. Hawk sat down. The room erupted. People talking, arguing, the mayor banging his gavel. Vincent stormed out. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Outside in the parking lot, Vincent grabbed Hawk's arm. You just made a very big mistake. Hawk looked at the hand on his arm. Then at Vincent, I've made plenty of mistakes. This isn't one of them. You don't know who you're dealing with. I know exactly who I'm dealing with. A man who taught his son that money means you don't have to be decent. A man who's built an empire on other people's backs. A man who's about to learn that some things can't be bought. Vincent let go. Step back. We'll see about that. Brandon's first day started at 6 the next morning. He showed up 15 minutes late. No apology. Sarah handed him an apron. He stared at it like it was a dead animal. Put it on. Her voice was flat, professional. She wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing her afraid. He put it on. She showed him the system. How to take orders. How to carry plates. How to smile when someone's rude. How to say thank you when someone treats you like you're invisible. All the things he'd never had to learn. His first table was a group of construction workers. Early shift, ordered big, eggs, bacon, hash browns, toast coffee. Brandon wrote it down wrong, brought the wrong order, got snapped at, apologized through gritted teeth. His second table was worse. Elderly couple, particular about their coffee. Too hot, too cold, too strong, too weak. Brandon's jaw clenched tighter with each complaint. Sarah watched from the counter. Remembered every time she'd been treated that way. Swallowed her feelings. Smiled. Survived. By 8 o'clock, Brandon had spilled coffee on a customer, dropped a plate, gotten 3 orders wrong. His designer sneakers were covered in grease. His shirt had a stain. His face was red with humiliation and barely suppressed rage. The breakfast crowd noticed. Some were gentle, some weren't. One man sent his eggs back 3 times, not because they were wrong, because he could. Because that's what Brandon had done to people his whole life. Justice doesn't always look pretty. Lily watched from the counter. 8 years old, eating cereal, observing. My dad said you learn who people really are when they can't get what they want. Sarah touched her daughter's hair. Your dad was right about a lot of things. Vincent's phone rang at 10:30. DeMarco. He didn't answer. The voicemail came through 30 seconds later. 3 days, Vincent. 72 hours. I'm sending someone to make sure you understand how serious I am. Man named Carlo. He'll be there tomorrow. Be smart. Vincent's hands shook as he deleted the message. His office felt smaller, the walls closing in. He'd mortgaged everything, liquidated what he could. Come up with $800,000, still 1.2 million short. No bank would touch him. The properties were underwater. The empire was smoke. His assistant knocked. Sir Sheriff Carter's here. Send him in. Carter walked in looking like he'd aged 5 years overnight. We got a problem. Vincent poured scotch. 11 in the morning, but who was counting? What kind of problem? The Brotherhood. I can't find anything to arrest them on. They're clean. No warrants, no violations. They're just existing. And that's not illegal. Make something up. Carter's eyes widened. Vincent, I can't just, you can. Plant drugs on Morrison's bike. Anonymous tip. Search and seizure. Make it stick. That's a felony. If I get caught, you won't get caught if you do it right. And if you don't do it, I'll make sure you get caught for everything else. Every bribe, every favor, every dollar. I'll burn us both down, but I'll make sure you burn first. Carter stood there. Crossroads moment, the kind that defines a man. He nodded slowly. Tomorrow night, I'll handle it. Hawk was working in his garage when they came for him. 11 o'clock, flashing lights, 4 patrol cars, Sheriff Carter at the front, face grim. Hawk knew before Carter said a word. This was it, the play they'd been waiting for. Jackson Morrison, you're under arrest for possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Hawk set down his wrench, wiped his hands. That's interesting, considering I don't use drugs. Don't sell them, don't even know where to buy them. We received a tip. Found 3 kilos of cocaine in your motorcycle saddlebag. That's convenient. Who searched my bike? Carter shifted. I did. With Deputy Morrison as witness. Deputy Morrison, no relation. Carter had chosen well. Cover his bases, Hawk put his hands behind his back. Let Carter cuff him. Didn't resist, didn't argue. Marines know when to fight and when to wait. The Brotherhood was there in 30 minutes. All 10 bikes. Surrounding the sheriff's station. Not threatening, not shouting, just there. Silent, present. Ruby was on her phone, calling lawyers. Ghost was recording everything. Chains wanted to go in. Bear held him back. Wait. Let Hawk play it out. Inside, they put Hawk in an interrogation room. Carter sat across from him. Vincent stood in the corner, observing. Hawk ignored him, focused on Carter. You know this won't hold. It'll hold long enough. Long enough for what? To give Vincent time to run, to cover his debts. You think the people he owes money to will forget just because I'm in jail? Carter's face betrayed him. Just a flicker. But enough. Hawk saw it. Vincent saw that Hawk saw it. The room got colder. I don't know what you are talking about. Carter's voice was uncertain now. Sure you don't. Hawk leaned back, relaxed, in control even in handcuffs. Here's what's going to happen. Your plant job's gonna fall apart. Because my bike's been in my garage all week. Under surveillance camera I installed last month. Time-stamped footage showing no one's touched it except me. And I sure as hell didn't put 3 kilos of coke in my own saddlebag. Vincent stepped forward. You're bluffing. Try me. Sarah walked into the station at 11:45. Lily was with her grandmother. Safe. Sarah was here because Hawk had stood up for her. Now it was her turn. Carter tried to turn her away. Ma'am, this isn't a good time. I have information about the arrest, about Sheriff Carter, about Vincent Castellano, about corruption that's been going on in this town for years. She pulled out a folder. 6 months of documentation. Ruby had helped her gather it. Instances of favoritism. Permits that got approved overnight for Vincent's projects while others waited months. Zoning changes that benefited Castellano properties. Building violations that disappeared. Police reports that got buried. All of it documented, dated, notarized. The state investigator had been copied on everything an hour ago. Sarah had made sure of that. This isn't just about drugs planted on a motorcycle. This is about a system that's been corrupted. And I'm not the only one who knows. 12 other people have filed similar reports. With timestamps, with evidence. You arrest Hawk, you trigger an avalanche you can't stop. Vincent lunged for the folder. Sarah pulled it back. Carter stood, hands up. Everyone calmed down. But it was too late for calm. The door opened. A man in a suit walked in. Federal badge, FB, followed by 2 more agents. Good evening, I'm Special Agent Rodriguez. We've been investigating corruption allegations in Pinewood for 6 months. Sheriff Carter, you're under arrest. Carter's face went white. Vincent backed toward the door. An agent blocked him. Mr. Castellano, we have questions for you too. About campaign finance violations. About bribery. About racketeering. You're going to want a lawyer. They read Carter his rights. Cuffed him. The sheriff who'd arrested Hawk 3 hours ago was now in handcuffs himself. Poetic justice. The kind that feels too neat to be real, but sometimes reality delivers. Rodriguez turned to Hawk. Mr. Morrison, you're free to go. The charges are dropped. We found the drugs Sheriff Carter planted. They're evidence now, against him. Hawk stood, rubbed his wrists where the cuffs had been. Looked at Sarah. Thank you. She nodded, just returning the favor. Outside, the Brotherhood was waiting. 10 bikes, silent vigil. When Hawk walked out, they erupted. Not in cheers, too dignified for that, but in acknowledgement. Engines revving. Acknowledgement. Respect. Brotherhood. Bear clapped him on the shoulder. Knew you had a plan. Always have a plan. Hawk looked at the station. Carter being led out in handcuffs. Vincent in the back of a federal car. The empire crumbling in real time. But this isn't over. Vincent's got bigger problems than us. What do you mean inside the federal car? Vincent was panicking. Hands shaking. Breath coming short. Agent Rodriguez sat across from him. Mr. Castellano, there's something you should know. We're not just investigating corruption. We're investigating organized crime, Chicago connections, money laundering. And we know about Salvatore DeMarco. We know about the $2 million you owe him. We know he's sending someone named Carlo. And we know Carlo's specialty isn't collections. It's enforcement. Vincent's world tilted. You've been watching me for 6 months. We were hoping you'd lead us to DeMarco's network. Instead, you made things interesting with the Brotherhood, which ironically accelerated our timeline. So thank you for that. What happens now? Now you have a choice. Cooperate with our investigation Help us take down DeMarco's operation. Or we let you go and see how long it takes Carlo to find you. Federal prison or a shallow grave. Your call. Vincent closed his eyes, saw his daughter Melissa, 15 years dead, saw Brandon, 17, stupid, entitled, still alive, still salvageable. Maybe. What do you need me to do? Rodriguez smiled. Tell us everything. Brandon heard it all secondhand. Text from a friend whose dad was a deputy. Your dad got arrested. Federal agents. Corruption. Something about the mob. Brandon read it 3 times. Didn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. His father was untouchable. His father owned the town. His father was powerful. He called, went to voicemail, called again. Nothing. Texted. No response. By midnight, panic set in. He drove to his father's office. Empty. Drove to his father's house. Dark. Called his mother in Phoenix. She hadn't heard from Vincent in weeks. They'd divorced years ago. She had nothing to offer but old anger. Brandon sat in his BM in an empty parking lot, 17 years old, alone. His father gone. His future uncertain. Everything he'd counted on dissolving like salt in water. He thought about the diner, about Sarah's face when he'd spit on her, about Lily watching him struggle with orders, about the construction workers sending eggs back 3 times, about humiliation as education, about consequences catching up. For the first time in his life, Brandon Castellano understood what it meant to be powerless. The Brotherhood meeting convened at 1 in the morning, emergency session, all 10 members present despite the hour. Hawk stood at the front, face grim. We've got a problem. Bigger than Vincent, bigger than corruption. Ghost laid it out. Chicago mob, man named Carlo arriving tomorrow. Target isn't Vincent anymore. Vincent's in federal custody. Can't pay, can't run. Mob's gonna want collateral, something to salvage from the investment. What kind of collateral, Preacher asked. Then understanding dawned. Oh no. Lily. Hawk's voice was flat. They'll take her, use her as leverage, try to squeeze money from Sarah. Or sell her. Trafficking's a growth business for these people. Over my dead body, chain stood, voice hard as iron. Might come to that. Hawk looked at his brothers, men he'd ride with into hell, men who'd already been there and come back. We need to protect her. 24/7. Starting now. No gaps, no mistakes. They come for her, they go through all of us. Ghost spoke up. I can reach out to other chapters. Get reinforcements. Do it. We might need them. Bear you coordinate with Preacher. Set up a safe house. Somewhere Carlo won't think to look. Doc, you handle medical supplies. If this goes sideways, we'll need a trauma kit. Ruby, you work with Sarah. Make sure she understands the danger. Make sure she's ready to move if we give the word. They dispersed to their assignments. Hawk stayed behind, alone in the clubhouse, looking at Emily's photo on the wall. 8 years old. Forever. I couldn't save you, but I can save her. I will save her. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. You took something from me. I'll take something from you. The girl pays for your sins. You have until Friday. Hawk stared at the message. No signature. Didn't need one. Carlo had arrived early. The clock was ticking. 2 days until Friday. 48 hours to keep a little girl alive. To keep a promise to a dead daughter by saving a living one. To prove that sometimes you get a second chance. Sometimes you can make it right. He texted back. Come for her and you'll learn what hell looks like. The response came immediately. Already there, Marine. Already there. Morning broke cold and merciless. Sarah found the note under her apartment door at 6. Typed. No signature. We know where she goes to school. We know what time you finish work. We know you're alone. Give us what Castellano owes or give us the girl. We're not picky. Her hands shook holding the paper. Lily was still asleep, bedroom down the hall, 8 years old, dreaming of whatever 8-year-olds dream about, unaware that monsters were real and coming for her. Sarah called Hawk, voice steady because mothers learn to be steady when everything's falling apart. They sent a note. I know. I got one too. Pack a bag. You're both coming with me. Now. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. Somewhere they won't look. You trust me? Sarah thought about her husband, David. Soldier. Dead 3 years. He'd trusted his brothers in arms with his life, had told her before his last deployment, "If anything happens to me, find good men, the kind who show up, the kind who stand. Let them help you. I trust Hawk Morrison with my life. You can trust him with yours." 20 minutes later, a van pulled up, unmarked. Ruby driving, Sarah and Lily climbed in, bags packed, Lily confused but trusting. "Where are we going, Mommy?" "On an adventure." Sarah's voice was bright, false, the way mothers sound when they're lying to protect. "Mr. Morrison's friends are taking us somewhere special." "Like a vacation, like that." "Yes, just like that." They drove for 40 minutes, out of town, into the mountains, old logging roads, places that didn't appear on GPS. The safe house was a cabin, remote, defensible, one road in and out. Bear was already there, setting up perimeter. Ghost was installing motion sensors. Doc had medical supplies stocked. Chains was checking weapons. Sarah saw the guns and her stomach dropped. Lily didn't need to see this, didn't need to know. Ruby took her inside, showed her the bedroom, the books, the games, distracted her while the adults talked strategy in the kitchen. Hawk laid it out. "Carlos got resources, manpower. He'll come. Question is when and how many. We're outnumbered, but we've got terrain. We've got training. We've got motivation." He paused. "And we've got something he doesn't." "What's that?" Sarah asked. "We've got something worth dying for. Carlos just doing it. We're protecting family." "That makes all the difference," the radio crackled. Lucky's voice. "We got movement in town. Black SUVs, Illinois plates, 4 vehicles, maybe 12 men. They're asking about Sarah Chen, about the girl, about where they went." Hawk keyed the radio. "They get any answers, not from our people. Town's locked down. Nobody's talking. But Vincent, they found him too." "What do you mean, found him?" Lucky's voice was grim. "Feds moved him to a safe location. But word is Carlos got people inside. Might know where he is. If they can't get their money, they'll settle for revenge. Vincent's a dead man walking. So's anyone who helped put him there." Sarah felt ice in her veins. Anyone who helped. That meant her. That meant Lily. That meant the Brotherhood. They'd declared war on the mob by standing up to Vincent, and the mob doesn't forget, doesn't forgive, doesn't stop. Hawk saw her face. "Hey, look at me. Nothing's getting to you or your daughter. You understand nothing." But his eyes told a different story. This was bad, worse than bad. 12 men with mob backing against 10 aging bikers in the woods. The math wasn't good. The odds weren't good. But sometimes you don't get to choose your battles. Sometimes battles choose you, and when they do, you stand. Because that's what it means to be a man who keeps his promises, even if keeping them kills you. Outside, the sun climbed higher. Birds sang. The forest was beautiful and indifferent. In 2 days, this place would either be a sanctuary or a grave. Hawk touched the pink ribbon in his wallet. Emily's ghost watching, waiting to see if her father could finally keep a promise, finally save someone, finally make the guilt stop. The radio crackled again. Lucky's voice tight. "They're moving, headed out of town, west, toward the mountains. Think they got a location." "Hawk, they're coming." The black SUVs moved through Pinewood like sharks. 4 vehicles, tinted windows, Illinois plates. They stopped at Morrison's diner first. Empty now, closed sign in the window. One man got out. Tall, lean, expensive suit under a leather jacket. Carlo Messina, DeMarco's enforcer, face like carved stone, eyes that had seen too much death to register surprise anymore. He tried the door. Locked. Peered through the window. Tables empty, chairs upturned. He pulled out his phone, made a call. The diner's dark. No sign of the woman or the kid. Someone tipped them off. DeMarco's voice crackled through. "Find them. I don't care how many people you have to go through. Castellano cost me $2 million and a federal investigation. Someone pays. Preferably in blood." Carlo hung up, gestured to his men. "Spread out. Ask questions. Someone knows something. Make them talk." Pinewood had never seen anything like what happened next. 12 men in suits fanning out through town, going door to door, asking about Sarah Chen, about her daughter, about where they went, getting nothing but closed doors and hostile stares. Small towns protect their own, especially when outsiders come asking questions. Margaret Harris, 73, retired teacher, answered her door with a shotgun. I don't know where they are, and I wouldn't tell you if I did. Now get off my porch before I forget my Christian upbringing. Tom Jenkins, Vietnam vet, told them Sarah had moved to Seattle last week, gave them a fake address, watched them drive away, then call Lucky. They bought it, bought us maybe an hour. But Carlo wasn't stupid. He'd been doing this for 20 years. Knew when people were lying, knew the tells, the hesitation, the eye contact that lasted too long or not long enough. He stood in the middle of Main Street, looked around, small town, limited options, mountains to the west, forest, logging roads. If he wanted to hide someone, that's where he'd go. He pulled out his phone, called in reinforcements. 8 more men, professional, armed, experienced. 20 total now, against 10 old bikers and 2 civilians. The math was getting worse by the hour. At the cabin, Hawk assembled his brothers. They stood in a circle. Battle-hardened men who'd seen combat. Who knew what was coming? Who knew the odds? Ghost had the tactical report. 4 SUVs confirmed, 12 men minimum, possibly more coming. They're sweeping the logging roads. Systematic, professional. They'll find us by dark. How long do we have? Hawk's voice was calm. Commander mode. The part of him that never really left the Marines. 4 hours, maybe 5 if we're lucky. We're not lucky. Never have been. Hawk looked at his brothers. Seen men die. Seen friends buried. Seen what happens when you're outgunned and outmanned. But I'm not asking you to die today. Anyone wants to leave, leave now. No judgment. No shame. This isn't your fight. No one moved. Bear spoke for all of them. We took a vow. Brotherhood means nobody gets left behind. That little girl's ours now. We stand. Then we make them pay for every inch. Hawk pulled out a map, spread it on the table. Marked positions, fields of fire, choke points, fallback positions. They come up this road, we hit them here. Slow them down, make them think twice. Make them remember that old men with rifles are still old men with rifles. And old men got nothing to lose. Chains checked his AR-15. I got plenty to lose. But some things are worth losing for. Inside the cabin, Sarah sat with Lily, tried to keep her calm, tried to pretend everything was normal. They played cards, read books. Sarah's hands shook when she thought Lily wasn't looking. But Lily was 8. Kids notice everything. See through every lie their parents tell. Mommy, are we in danger? Sarah's breath caught. No, sweetie, we're just being careful. Those men outside have guns. I saw them. Big ones, they're protecting us. That's all. From what Lily's eyes were too knowing, too aware. David's eyes, her father's eyes, direct, honest, demanding the same in return. Sarah couldn't lie to those eyes. From bad people who want to hurt us because I did something brave. Because I stood up to someone who thought he could do whatever he wanted. Sometimes being brave makes dangerous people angry. Are we going to be okay? Sarah pulled her daughter close. I don't know. But the men outside, they're not going to let anything happen to you. And neither am I. Whatever happens, you stay with me. You do what I say. You run if I tell you to run. Understand? Lily nodded, small, scared, still trusting, still believing that adults could fix anything, still too young to know that adults were just as afraid, just better at hiding it. Ruby came in, smiled at Lily. Hey kiddo, want to see something cool? She led Lily to the bedroom, showed her the emergency exit. The tunnel Bear had dug years ago. Paranoid preparation that was about to save lives. If anything happens, you go through here. Comes out 50 yards into the woods. You run straight until you hit the creek. Then you follow the water downstream. There's a ranger station 2 miles south. You tell them Ruby sent you. They'll keep you safe. Lily looked at the tunnel, at Ruby, at her mother in the doorway. This is real, isn't it? Like really real. Not pretend. Ruby knelt down, got to her level. Yeah, honey, it's real. But here's what I learned in the Army. Scared is just your body getting ready to be brave. You feel that fear? That's your superpower. warming up. Carlo found the logging road at 3:30, fresh tire tracks, multiple vehicles. Recent, he smiled. No warmth in it, just satisfaction, the kind that comes from being good at a bad job. He radioed his men. Got them. Forestry Road 47, 2 miles in, tighten up, combat formation. These bikers are military, treat them like hostiles. The SUVs move slow, careful, watching for ambush. Carlo had been in worse situations, been shot at by better men, but something about this felt different, felt personal. These weren't gang members protecting territory. These were soldiers protecting family. And soldiers with nothing to lose were the most dangerous kind. The first shot came at 3:45. High-powered rifle took out the lead SUV's front tire. The vehicle lurched, stopped. Carlo was out before the engine died. Taking cover, his men scrambled. Professional, trained. They'd done this before. Another shot, taking out the second vehicle's radiator. Steam hissing. Carlo scanned the tree line. Couldn't see the shooter. Professional work. Sniper trained. Probably ghost. The Japanese-American, who'd been a Marine Scout sniper. Range 400 yards. Elevated position. Smart. Carlo keyed his radio. Fan out. Suppressing fire. Keep them pinned. We push through. His men opened up. Automatic weapons. The forest erupted in gunfire. Trees splintering, bark flying, but the bikers were dug in. Prepared, disciplined. They didn't panic, didn't waste ammunition. Picked their shots, made each one count. Bear was on the left flank, Vietnam experience showing. He moved between positions, firing, relocating, firing again, never staying in one place, never giving them a target. His radio crackled. Hawk's voice. How many we looking at? 20, maybe more. They're professional, military trained. This isn't some mob muscle. These are operators. Can we hold them long enough? Maybe. If we're lucky, we're not lucky. Make them pay. Always do, brother. Always do. At the cabin, Doc was preparing for casualties. Medical supplies laid out. Trauma kit ready. IV bags, morphine, sutures. Everything he'd need to keep someone alive long enough to get real help. He'd been a combat medic in Iraq. Seen men die from wounds that should have been survivable. Seen men live through things that should have killed them. Knew the difference was often just luck and time, and having someone who refused to quit. Preacher stood watch at the cabin door. Former chaplain. Man of God. But God helps those who help themselves. And right now helping meant keeping a little girl safe. Rifle in his hands, Bible in his pocket. Both tools, both necessary. Different kinds of salvation. Sarah watched through the window, heard the gunfire. Distant but getting closer. Her whole body was shaking now. No hiding it. Lily beside her, holding her hand, trying to be brave. Failing, 8 years old. Scared, who wouldn't be? Ruby was calm, checking her pistol. Former Army intelligence, but she could shoot. Had shot. Would shoot again if it came to that. She looked at Sarah. When I say move, you move. Don't think, don't hesitate. Just grab Lily and go through that tunnel. Understand I'm not leaving you. Sarah's voice was steel-wrapped in fear. You're not leaving us. You're saving your daughter. That's what mothers do. That's what warriors do. They prioritize the mission. And the mission is getting her out alive. What about Hawk? What about the others? They're doing their job. You do yours. The gunfire intensified, closer now. Carlo's men were pushing through, taking casualties but advancing. Bear fell back to the secondary position. Preacher joined him. 2 old soldiers. Combined age 130. Combined experience 2 wars and more firefights than they could count. They laid down covering fire. Precise, economical, making the mob pay for every yard. Ghost radioed from his sniper position. They're flanking, east side, 4 men, trying to get around us. Change, you copy? Hawk's voice was sharp. Copy. I got them. Chains moved through the woods, silent, fast, found the flanking team, opened up, 3-round bursts, professional. 2 men down. The other 2 retreated. Chains didn't pursue. Fell back to his position. reloaded, waited. Carlo realized he was fighting veterans, real ones, not weekend warriors, not security guards playing soldier. These were men who'd been in actual combat, who knew tactics, who knew how to kill. He'd lost 4 men, had 2 wounded, and they hadn't even reached the cabin yet. He made a decision, called for the second wave. 8 more men, 40 minutes out. When they arrived, he'd have overwhelming force. Until then, he'd contain, set up perimeter, wait for reinforcements. These bikers couldn't run, couldn't escape. Time was on his side, but he didn't know about the phone call Hawk had made an hour ago. To the Iron Brotherhood state president, to the chapter heads in Billings, Great Falls, Missoula, Kalispell, Bozeman, to 750 bikers across Montana. The message was simple. One of ours needs help. How many can you send? The answer came back fast. All of us. At 4:15, the first bikes arrived. 30 of them. Billings chapter, full patch members, veterans, loyal. They parked 2 miles out, moved on foot, silent, practiced. They'd done this before, not often. But when the call came, you answered. That was the code. That was the promise. Chains heard them first. Movement, multiple contacts. Then the radio. Friendly. Billings chapter, 30 strong. Where do you need us? Relief flooded through him. He keyed the radio. Hawk, we got reinforcements. Billings just arrived. 30 brothers. Hawk felt something he hadn't felt in hours. Hope. How many more coming? Great Falls says 20 minutes out. 60 riders. Missoula's 45 minutes. 50 riders. Kalispell's an hour. 40 riders. We're going to have 200 brothers here before dark. Carlos saw them coming at 4:30. Motorcycles, dozens of them. Then more. Then more. Converging from multiple directions. His face went pale. This wasn't a gang fight. This was a war, and he was suddenly very outnumbered. He radioed his backup. Cancel that. Pull back. We're leaving, now. But Hawk's voice came over a megaphone. You came for a fight. Let's finish it. You want the girl. Come through us. All of us. 200 motorcycles lined the road. 200 bikers standing shoulder to shoulder. Leather vests, patches, gray beards, scars. Men who'd served their country, who'd come home, who'd found brotherhood when the world forgot them, who answered when one of their own called, who stood when standing mattered. Carlo looked at his 16 men, at the 200 bikers, did the math, made the smart choice. We're done here. Fall back. But before they could move, federal vehicles arrived. FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshals. Agent Rodriguez stepped out. Mr. Messina, you're under arrest for attempted kidnapping, conspiracy to commit murder, racketeering, and about 40 other charges I'm going to enjoy reading you. Carlo's men scattered, didn't get far. The Brotherhood wasn't just standing there for show. They formed a perimeter, blocked the roads, stopped the runners, held them for the feds. Citizens' arrest, legal, effective, satisfying. Rodriguez walked to Hawk, extended his hand. Thank you. We've been trying to get Messina for 3 years. You just handed him to us. Didn't do it for you, oh? Did it for a little girl who deserves to feel safe. Rodriguez nodded, understood. Still, thank you. He paused. There's something you should know. Vincent Castellano's in protective custody. He's cooperating, giving us everything on DeMarco's organization. In exchange, he gets witness protection, new identity, new life. His son Brandon's not included in the deal. Kid's on his own. What about Sarah, about Lily? They safe completely. DeMarco's operation is being rolled up as we speak. Arrests in Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland. The threat's over. You can bring them out. Hawk felt 12 years of weight lift. Couldn't save Emily, but saved Lily. Kept the promise. Made it right. He turned to walk toward the cabin. Didn't see the last of Carlo's men. The one who'd circled around. The one with nothing to lose. The one who raised his pistol and fired. The shot hit Hawk in the chest, high right side. He went down. The Brotherhood erupted. Weapons drawn. The shooter dead before he hit the ground. Federal agents scrambling. Chaos. Shouting. But all Hawk could hear was ringing. All he could feel was pressure. All he could taste was copper. Doc was there in seconds. Trauma kit open. hands moving fast, checking the wound, through and through, missed the heart, clipped a lung, bad but survivable. If we move fast, he looked at Bear. Get me a helicopter. Now. Lily appeared in the cabin doorway, saw Hawk on the ground, saw the blood, ran toward him. Sarah tried to stop her. Couldn't. The little girl dropped to her knees beside the man who'd protected her, who'd stood between her and monsters, who'd kept his promise when her own father couldn't. You're hurt. Her voice was small, scared, but steady, like she was trying to be brave for him, like 8-year-olds do when adults need them to. Hawk looked at her, smiled through the pain. I'm okay, kiddo. Tough to kill an old Marine. Don't die. Please don't die. My dad died, and I don't want you to die too. Something broke in Hawk's chest. Not the bullet wound. Something deeper. 12 years of guilt, of grief, of carrying Emily's death like a stone. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, took out the pink ribbon, Emily's ribbon. The one he'd touched 10,000 times, the one that was supposed to bring her back, but never did. He pressed it into Lily's hand. This belonged to someone very special. My daughter. She was your age. She would have wanted you to have it. I can't take this. Tears streaming down Lily's face. It's yours. It was mine. Now it's yours. Keep it. Remember that even when scary things happen, there are people who show up. People who stand. People who keep their promises. You'll be one of those people, okay? You grow up and you show up for people who need you. That's how you honor the people who stood for you. Doc was loading him onto a stretcher. The helicopter was landing. Dust and wind, noise, chaos. But Hawk kept his eyes on Lily, kept his hand on hers until they pulled him away, kept the promise. Finally, after 12 years, kept it. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and false hope. Hawk came out of surgery at 9 that night, critical but stable. The bullet had collapsed his lung, cracked a rib, missed everything vital. Luck, or providence, or something else. Maybe Emily watching. Maybe making sure her father finally got it right. Sarah and Lily were in the waiting room. Sarah had been crying, stopped when she saw Hawk's doctor. Is he going to be okay? He's tough, lost a lot of blood, but he's stable. You can see him, just for a few minutes. They walked into the ICU. Hawk was pale, tubes and wires, machines beeping, but alive, eyes open, aware. He saw them, tried to smile, managed something close. Lily climbed onto the chair beside his bed, held his hand. The pink ribbon was tied around her wrist now. Thank you for saving me. Hawk's voice was rough. Damaged lung, pain medication. Thank you for letting me. Sarah touched his shoulder. I don't know how to repay you. Don't know how to thank you. You risked everything for us, for people you barely knew. You reminded me why I became a Marine in the first place. To protect people who can't protect themselves, to stand between the innocent and the wolves. I lost sight of that when Emily died. Thought I'd failed, thought I didn't deserve another chance. You gave me that chance. So thank you. The door opened, the Brotherhood filed in, all 10, plus brothers from other chapters. The ICU nurse tried to stop them. Too many visitors. Bear gave her a look. She reconsidered. Let them through. They stood around his bed, silent, respectful. Bear spoke for all of them. You took a bullet for family. That's the highest honor. We're proud to ride with you, brother. Hawk looked at each face. Men he'd known for decades. Men he'd bleed with, die with. Men who'd answered when he called, who'd stood when it mattered. Who proved that brotherhood wasn't just a word. It was a choice made every day, in small ways and large. In showing up and standing firm and refusing to let darkness win. I couldn't ask for better brothers. Preacher stepped forward. Former chaplain. Man who'd seen God in foxholes and firefights. I'd like to say a blessing, if that's okay. Hawk nodded. Preacher's hands were rough, scarred, but gentle when he placed them on Hawk's head. Lord, we thank you for this man, for his courage, for his sacrifice, for reminding us what it means to stand for something larger than ourselves. We ask you to heal him, to give him strength, to let him see the fruit of your sacrifice, the lives he saved, the promises he kept, the difference he made. Amen. Amen. The chorus came from 15 voices. Some believed, some didn't, but all respected the moment, the gravity, the weight of what had happened here. Lily was still holding Hawk's hand, still had the ribbon tied to her wrist. She looked up at him with eyes too old for eight. My dad said heroes aren't people who aren't scared. They're people who are scared and do it anyway. You're a hero. I'm just a man who kept a promise. That's all any of us can do. Keep our promises. Show up when people need us. Stand when standing matters. That's not heroism. That's just being human. But most humans don't do that. Most humans run, or look away, or pretend they don't see. You didn't. None of you did. Lily looked around at the brotherhood, at Sarah, at the doctor, at the nurses who'd stopped trying to clear the room. That makes you different. That makes you special. Makes us stubborn. Bear's voice rumbled with affection. Too stubborn to quit. Too stubborn to too stubborn to let the bad guys win. Brandon Castellano sat in his BMW outside the hospital, engine off, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. His father was gone. Witness protection, new identity, new life. Without him. The feds had made it clear. Vincent's cooperation bought Vincent's safety. Not his son's. Brandon was on his own. Everything he'd counted on was gone. The money, the power, the immunity. He was just a 17-year-old kid with no prospects and a reputation as the punk who'd spit on a waitress. College applications would see his name, see the news stories, see the corruption trial. Doors would close, opportunities would vanish. He'd be lucky to get into community college. He could run, change his name, start over somewhere else. But that felt like something his father would do. Running, hiding, refusing to face consequences. Brandon was tired of being his father's son. He got out of the car, walked into the hospital, found Sarah in the waiting room. She looked up, saw him. Her face went cold, got ready to call security. Wait, please. Brandon's voice cracked. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to apologize. Sarah stood, put herself between Brandon and Lily. I don't want your apology. I want you to leave. I know. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. Don't deserve anything from you. But I need to say this. I need you to hear it. Brandon knelt down, got to Lily's level, the way Hawk had, the way grown-ups do when they're sincere. I was cruel to your mom. I spit on her. I laughed about it. I thought I was better than her because my dad had money. I was wrong. So wrong, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for hurting her. Sorry for scaring you. Sorry for being the kind of person who needed to learn this lesson the hard way. Lily looked at him, 8 years old, seeing something in his face, something real. Are you actually sorry? Or are you just saying that because you got caught? Both. I'm sorry I got caught, but I'm also sorry I did it. And I'm going to try to be better. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to try. Sarah's face softened. Just a fraction. You finished your month at the diner, 2 weeks left. And I'm going to finish it. Not because I have to, because I want to. Because I need to understand what it feels like. To be treated the way I treated people. To be powerless. To rely on the kindness of others. And after that, I don't know. My dad's gone. I've got nothing. Maybe I'll keep working there. Maybe I'll learn what it means to earn something instead of inheriting it. Ruby had been listening from the doorway. She stepped forward. Army intelligence. Judge of character. If you're serious, I know a place that helps kids turn their lives around. Veterans Program. Teaches discipline, work ethic, values, no guarantees. But it's a start. Brandon looked at her, at Sarah, at Lily, at the chance being offered. Small, fragile, but real. I'll take it. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. Sarah studied him, seeing something. Maybe sincerity, maybe desperation, maybe the kind of brokenness that precedes transformation. 1 month, working at the diner. Then we talk about next steps. You mess up, you're done. You quit, you're done. You disrespect anyone, you're done. Understand? Yes, ma'am. Brandon's voice was humble, grateful, changed. Maybe. Time would tell. 5 years later, Morrison's diner looked exactly the same. Chrome counter, red vinyl booths, smell of coffee and bacon. But everything else had changed. The photographs on the walls included new faces now. The Brotherhood, Sarah and Lily, Hawk at the hospital, the day 200 bikers showed up, history captured in black and white. Table 9 was reserved. Small brass plaque on the table. In memory of Emily Morrison. Forever ate, forever loved. Hawk sat there every morning, 67 years old now, gray and his beard thicker, scar on his chest from the bullet matching the one on his face from shrapnel. Collected scars, evidence of a life lived standing up. Lily was 13 now, tall, confident, father's dog tag still around her neck, pink ribbon still tied to her wrist. She worked part-time at the diner, saving money for college, wanted to be a social worker, help kids who'd lost parents, kids who were scared and alone. She'd learned what it meant when someone showed up, wanted to be that person for others. Sarah managed the diner now, owned it actually. Bear had helped her buy it when the previous owner retired. Fair price, fair terms. The Brotherhood Way. She'd renamed it. Morrison's Table, in honor of the man who'd stood when standing mattered. The man who'd taught her that dignity wasn't negotiable. Brandon Castellano walked in at 7, wore the uniform, server's apron, order pad, smile that was genuine now, earned through 2 years of humility and 3 years of hard work. He'd finished the veterans program, gotten his GED, started community college, still worked at Morrison's Table 20 hours a week, not because he had to, because it reminded him, kept him grounded, showed him who he'd been and who he was becoming. He poured coffee for Hawk. Morning, Mr. Morrison, usual. Hawk smiled, watched the kid work, efficient, polite, respectful. Transformation was possible. Not easy, not quick, but possible. You hear about your father, Brandon nodded. Testifying again next month. Grand jury in Detroit. Think they'll finally get DeMarco. They'll get him. Too many people talking. Too much evidence. Justice is slow, but it comes. Brandon had visited his father once, in witness protection. The man looked older, smaller, scared, living under a different name, different life, different lies. Brandon had tried to feel sympathy, couldn't. His father had made choices, lived with consequences. So would he. The door opened. More Brotherhood members filing in. Morning ritual, coffee, breakfast, stories. They'd lost 2 brothers in the 5 years since that day. Hammer passed at 68. Heart attack, quick, painless. Lucky died in a motorcycle accident at 60. Not wearing his helmet, stupid, preventable. The Brotherhood mourned, added their photos to the wall, rode to their funerals, celebrated their lives, continued the work. New members had joined, younger veterans, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria. Men who came home changed, who needed purpose, who found it in brotherhood, in standing for something, in showing up for people who needed them. The mission continued, different faces, same values. Bear walked in, 70 now, moving slower, but still standing, still riding, still protecting. He sat across from Hawk, saw the ribbon hanging on the wall in a frame above table 9. Emily's ribbon. Lily had given it back 2 years ago. Said it belonged here, where people could see it, remember it, understand what it meant to keep promises. You did good, brother. Bear's voice was soft, proud. Saved that girl, changed that boy, showed this town what it means to stand. Emily would be proud. Hawk touched the scar on his chest, right over his heart, then touched the frame on the wall. I finally kept my promise. Took 12 years, but I kept it. You kept it every day. Every time you showed up, every time you stood, every time you protected someone who couldn't protect themselves. That's keeping the promise. Not once, every day. Lily brought their breakfast, set it down with the efficiency of someone who'd done it 1,000 times. Her phone buzzed. She checked it, smiled. Text from Ruby, former Army intelligence officer who'd become her mentor. Scholarship application accepted. Full ride to Montana State, social work program. Good news, Hawk asked. The best. Lily showed him the screen. Got the scholarship. Starting in the fall. Hawk felt his chest tighten. Not the scar, something else. Pride, joy. The kind that comes from watching someone you protected become someone who protects others. Your dad would be so proud. So would Emily. Lily touched the frame. I never met her, but I know her because I know you, and you showed me what it means to keep promises, what it means to stand up, what it means to show up for people even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Sarah came over, refilled their coffee, looked at her daughter, at Hawk, at the Brotherhood, at Brandon working the counter, at the diner full of people who'd chosen to build something better than what they'd inherited. This is what community looks like. Not perfect, not easy, but real. Built on people who show up, who stand, who refuse to look away when someone needs help. The door opened again. A young mother walked in, looked scared, overwhelmed, baby on her hip, toddler holding her hand, bruise on her cheek, poorly covered with makeup. She asked for coffee, voice shaking. Sarah saw it. The fear, the desperation, the need. Had been there herself, knew the look. She poured the coffee. On the house, then sat down. You okay? The woman's eyes filled. No, but I'm trying to be. Sarah looked at Hawk, at Bear, at Ruby who'd just walked in, at the Brotherhood, at Lily, at everyone who'd shown up for her 5 years ago. Then looked back at the woman. You're safe here. Whatever you're running from, whatever you need, you're safe here. The woman broke down. Quiet sobs, baby squirming, toddler confused. Sarah held her, let her cry. Lily brought tissues. Bear made a phone call. Safe house, social services, legal help, the machinery of protection starting to move. Because that's what they did. That's what they'd always done. Stand between the innocent and the wolves. Protect people who can't protect themselves. Show up when showing up matters. Hawk watched it unfold, the cycle continuing, the promise extending, what he'd started 5 years ago multiplying, rippling, becoming something larger than any one person. This was legacy, not money, not power, not buildings with your name on them, but people. Lives changed, promises kept, dignity restored. Brandon brought more coffee, saw the scene, understood, asked Sarah what he could do. She told him. He did it. No questions, no hesitation. The kid who'd spit on a waitress 5 years ago now serving women who'd been spit on by life. Transformation complete. Outside, more motorcycles pulled up. Brotherhood from other chapters. Passing through. Heard this was the place. Where it happened. Where 10 old bikers stood against the mob. Where promises were kept and lives were saved. They wanted to see it, wanted to pay respects, wanted to understand what it meant to be part of something larger than themselves. They filed in, ordered breakfast, listened to the stories, looked at the photographs, saw Emily's ribbon in its frame, saw Table 9 reserved in her memory, saw Hawk Morrison sitting there, 67 years old, gray beard, scars, still standing, still showing up, still keeping promises. The youngest biker approached, 25, Afghanistan vet, third tour, came home broken, found the Brotherhood, found purpose. Mr. Morrison, I joined the Brotherhood because of you, because of what you did here, because you showed me that service doesn't end when you take off the uniform. It's how you live, every day, for the rest of your life. Hawk shook his hand. Then stand for something, show up for someone, keep your promises. That's all I ever did. That's all any of us can do. The biker nodded, sat down, ordered coffee, became part of the story, part of the legacy, part of the promise that extended beyond one man, beyond one moment, becoming something eternal. Sarah looked around her diner, at Lily serving tables, at Brandon working the register, at the Brotherhood filling seats, at the scared young mother being protected, at the community that had formed around the simple act of standing up. Her husband David had told her before he died, find good men, the kind who show up, let them help you. She'd found them, they'd helped, and now she was helping others. The cycle continuing, the promise multiplying. This was what it meant to stand for something larger than yourself. This was what it meant to build legacy, not in stone, not in steel, but in lives, in choices, in showing up every day and refusing to let darkness win. Hawk finished his coffee, Stood. Time to open the garage. Motorcycles to fix. Work to do. Life to live. He touched Emily's frame one last time. Whispered, "I kept it, baby. Finally kept it." Bear walked out with him. Two old soldiers, combined age 137, combined scars uncountable, still riding, still standing, still protecting. They mounted their bikes, engines rumbling. Thunder in the Montana morning. More bikes joined them. The Brotherhood riding together. Formation, precision, discipline. They rolled through Pinewood, through the town they'd protected, through streets that knew their names, through a community they'd helped build. Not through power, not through money, but through the simple act of showing up when someone needed help. Lily watched them go from the diner window. 13 years old, father's dog tags around her neck, pink ribbon on her wrist, scholarship to college, future bright, life saved by men who'd stood between her and monsters. Men who'd kept promises when her own father couldn't. Men who'd shown her what it means to be brave, to be strong, to be someone who shows up. She turned back to the diner, to the scared young mother, to the work that needed doing, to the promises that needed keeping. She was 13, but she understood. Legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you build in others. It's how you change lives. It's showing up when showing up matters. This was Morrison's table, where promises were kept, where dignity was defended, where community was built one cup of coffee at a time, where 10 old bikers had stood against the mob and won, where a little girl learned what it meant to be brave, where a teenage boy learned what it meant to be accountable, where a single mother learned what it meant to be protected. This was where the story lived. Not in the past, but in the present, in every person who walked through those doors and chose to show up, to stand, to keep promises. This was legacy. This was what it meant to refuse to look away when someone needed help. The sun climbed higher, morning became day, the diner filled with people, stories, laughter, life. And on the wall above table 9, Emily's pink ribbon caught the light. Forever 8, forever loved, forever the reason her father learned what it means to keep promises, even when keeping them costs everything, especially then.